right, I'm cutting across to our big story here, the war that currently unfolds between Iran and Israel. Israel has launched Operation Rising Lion that has begun on June 13th. It continues unabated. After this surprise attack on Iran, Iran has also retaliated with Operation True Promise. This is unprecedented period of direct military confrontation. Both countries are now in an unprecedented war. The first time it appears that Iran has taken on or attacked Israel to this extent, and importantly, the first time that Israel has shown its capability against Iran. Israel using fighter jets, drone strikes across Iran, targeting nuclear and military sites, including surface-to-surface missile production facilities, detection radar sites, and surface-to-air missile launchers. Israel forces have also reportedly killed several top Iranian military commanders and atomic scientists. The IDF claims to have destroyed one-third of Iran's surface-to-surface missile launchers and achieved full air superiority over Tehran. Iran's health ministry reporting at least 224 fatalities and over 1,200 injuries. In retaliation, Tehran has launched barrages of missiles and drones hitting Israeli cities and towns, causing at least 24 deaths and 592 injuries, with a major oil refinery in Haifa among the targets. The IDF has confirmed intercepting over 100 Iranian UAVs. In a fresh round of strike, Israel has hit Iran's northwest city of Tabriz, carried out several extensive strikes on military targets in western Iran. In retaliation, Iran claims to have destroyed strategic positions of the Zionist regime in Tel Aviv and Haifa. Earlier, loud booms were heard over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as air raid sirens sounded across Israel following warnings of incoming Iranian missiles. Let me introduce to tell us a little more on what this war at this point really means to the world, and mostly to the two countries who are currently at it. Itsai Malkaya, who is former executive, Israeli National Security Council. Thanks very much for joining back here, Itsai. We also have Ambassador Prabu Dayal, former Indian diplomat, who's with us. Major General Rajan Kochar, Strategic Affairs and Defense expert. I will, of course, bring in our ambassador first on the panel. Ambassador Prabu Dayal, this war seems to be intensifying. Israel has really stepped up its attack on Iran, with the death toll mounting to much over 230. Israel has lost about 18 people, we hear, unconfirmed reports. Would you tell us where this is headed and what will take for both of them to stop?
Well, first of all, I think there is a mounting fear of the escalation of the conflict. According to reports, Trump has instructed the White House Security Council to meet, and they are announcing the deployment of additional capabilities to the Middle East to enhance the Pentagon's defensive posture. So whether it is defensive or offensive remains to be seen. But very significantly, when he cut short his stay at the G summit in Canada, Trump said, I have to be back early for obvious reasons. And then he also said that he was returning to Washington for the big stuff. All this taken together with his post urging the Iranians on a social platform to immediately evacuate their capital, Tehran, which is a city of about 17 million people. This has mounted some fear of an escalation. Now, either he intends to get the United States directly involved, or he is pressurizing Iran to agree to a nuclear treaty. There are only two possibilities, because why else would he be saying that he's going back for the big stuff and that he's going back for obvious reasons? And why else would the United States be increasing the presence of US forces? So, to me, it appears that he is going to pressurize Iran as much as possible. And if Iran is not willing to sign the nuclear treaty, then I am afraid the United States will step in alongside Israel, and we will see an escalation of the conflict as we have not even envisaged till now.
All right. Well, let me bring in Itsai, who's joining us right there from Israel itself. Itsai, would you want to, Itsai, if you can hear me and unmute yourself, give us a little more on the current situation on day 5 of this war. First of all, are you calling this, is Israel calling this war?
Yes, well, the word war has taken on different meanings these days because you have all kinds of war. The war with the Hamas, for example, in Gaza is what is called an asymmetric war when it's a terrorist organization against a country. Here we see a war with no real soldiers clashing with each other, no tanks, no soldiers, but everything is happening through the air. So yes, it is war. The two countries are fighting, and there will be some sort of outcome in a few weeks. But it is a war. You can call it an operation if you don't like the word war. But in the end, it is a war.
Right. So at the end, you call this a war, certainly. Would you confirm to us on the deaths on the Israeli side, and if Netanyahu still is aggressively moving forward with this war, knowing very well the casualties it could have?
Yes, certainly. First, the confirmed number of casualties on the Israeli side is 24. By the way, people don't talk about this, but this includes a family of 4, an Arab family of 4 from the Arab city in the Galilee called Tamra, that their home was struck. I have no idea why. Again, when you target civilians, you don't discriminate if it's Christians or Muslims or Jews, and that is a death toll right now. Very heavy bombs wherever there's a direct hit that makes it through the defense systems. Then we see big craters and a lot of damage to dozens of houses in the region, and therefore also relatively a high number of people who are injured. But then you have to remember that Israel has the best defense, anti-missile defense systems spread out to the country, also being assisted by the US and also by some other allies and neighbors who are also assisting in stopping some of the attacks on the way. So in the end, only less than 5% of the things shot at Israel, if it's missiles or drones, less than 5% actually make it and explode in Israel. And that is, just try to imagine what the death toll would have been like had Israel not had those advanced defense systems, and the population would not have had shelters and obey the instructions to run for shelter when there is an attack coming. We usually get a few minutes warning, and most people in Israel go run to shelters 3 to 7 times a day in the last few days. Also many times during night, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. are favorite hours. Maybe they're trying some sleep deprivation on us. So this is the way it looks like in Israel. As you mentioned, I'm live from Haifa. Haifa has taken several hits and death toll, including, as you said, the oil refineries, which are very soon to start operating again. And part of the struggle and the targets of the operation currently is also hunting and targeting. Just now is an attack on a launcher that is ready to launch. It's really ready to launch. These things are in hiding. They get taken out towards the time they want to shoot, and there's a small window of opportunity to find them and eliminate them before they fire. Iran has many more rockets and missiles than it has launchers, and therefore the target is getting all of those launchers. And that is only part of the Israeli plan. You asked what Netanyahu wants to do. It seems Israel has a steady plan of the targets it wants to hit, be it nuclear sites, be it military industry sites, be it military bases, and slowly, one by one, those places are getting targeted.
You know, if I could bring in Major General Dr. Rajan there. Sir, as we know, Israel is claiming superiority with their weaponry, but at the end of it, it's hard to believe Israel is alone in this. They've been fighting a war for a while now. Would you be able to give us clarity on who could be backing Israel?
Netanyahu was asked this explicitly at the press
Thank you
conference last night.
for bringing me to this discussion.
Yes.
it's very, very clear that Israel cannot be doing this alone. It has the backing of the United States. And why I actually say that is, I will start with the cyber warfare first. I will start with the satellite and information systems which the United States is providing to Israel,
Yeah.
and 360 degrees coverage round the clock, 24/7 in this war. Because in case you want to pinpoint your targets, if you want to have that kind of a precision, you need this kind of communication assistance, which I think the United States is providing Israel. It is at the back end, and we are very, very certain that it is happening in this manner. Second, there are two, three indicators before this operation started. In Sudan, a United States positioned a squadron of their F-15s, as also before this war, the Iron Dome was replenished by the US interceptors. It is there for us to see that that is why the Iron Dome has been very, very successful. Its success rate is almost 90%. So we have to accept a fact that no air defense system is impregnable. You will find some 20, 30 missiles. If you're going to fire 300 odd missiles, you will find 20 to 30 of them going through and hitting those targets. And that's what we have seen in Israel actually happening. But the point to note is the way Israel has planned this operation. I must compliment the way it has been done, because the first step was the cyber warfare, trying to jam all their air defense systems of Iran and giving a free run to all the fighter jets, almost 200 of them, F-15s and F-35s, were able to penetrate inside Iran. The second aspect is about the human intelligence, how they have been able to infiltrate into Iran and bring in the drones with precision uh, kind of attacks on those military leaders and the scientists. They have used loitering ammunition drones and have pinpointed those areas where the information was available because of human intelligence. This is one aspect of warfare, I think, when we have to look at the lessons learned, and we have to go in for uh, precision, precision strikes. I think Israel has set a benchmark for all those countries who want to emulate these kind of operations. The third aspect is the selection of targets. If you compare the way Iran has struck Israel and the way Israel has struck Iran, you will find a great difference in the selection of targets, because Israel has gone in for those nuclear sites, for those military installations, for the air defense system, for the command and control centers, and for those areas which will reduce the war waging capability of a country. Whereas Iran, the type of targets which Iran has hit has not degraded the war waging potential of Israel. So that is the difference in the two. And in this 5 days of warfare, one thing which is found is that Israel really does not have the capability to get into those nuclear sites where the uranium is stored. You see, today Israel has been able to destroy the infrastructure at these nuclear sites in terms of power supply, in terms of research facilities, but they have been not been able to get inside that uh, uh, tunnels and the mountains, where almost 40, 50 meters inside these uranium stockpiles are there. And that is why we are now seeing posturing by the Americans with their B-52 bombers being deployed ahead of Diego Garcia. I think almost 38 of them have already moved this side of the Mediterranean Sea, because after 5 days of conflict, what we are observing is, you see, Israel had two major aims in mind. One was to degrade the nuclear capability, bomb making capability of Iran, and the second was to bring in a regime change, trying to create a situation in the country where the people will themselves ask.
Yeah.
And if you see Netanyahu also appealing to the people of Iran that you need to
Yeah,
get away
yeah, we
from
see
your
that.
present leaders.
We see that, and we see that there's fair amount of response coming into that message as well. Civilians there in Iran are not happy with their regime. We've seen widespread hijab protests that panned out barely a year ago. And that apart, the ruthlessness with which the regime has carried on, it seems like their own people are frustrated, and they could very well see this as a lease of life to push out the current regime. Well, a quick look at the students from India who are currently studying in Iran. If I could just take you through those visuals there. Indian students, mostly studying medicine, are currently living in fear there in Iran, are asking for help from India to get them evacuated at the earliest. And we saw many of the students there already lining up. In 2022 as well, India safely evacuated thousands of students from Ukraine. So this is yet another round that it appears India is now ensuring, where students who are studying in Iran are safely brought back home. Most of them are from Jammu and Kashmir. These are students, around 2,000 of them, mainly from Jammu and Kashmir, who find themselves in a precarious situation. The External Affairs Ministry has now helped them evacuate from there and are being brought home. Iran earlier agreed to India's request to enable safe evacuation of these students, and it appears that they're all now moving out by foot. They are being provided land border crossings into Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan and Afghanistan after the Iranian airspace was shut down. So they're basically moving out by foot. External Affairs Ministry here has said that Indian students in Tehran have been moved out safely. All arrangements are being made. The first batch of 110 students have already crossed over to Armenia, from where they will be flown to Delhi. The Indian embassy in Tehran is closely tracking the security situation and liaising with students to keep them safe. They've published some numbers as well for students to reach out for help. In some cases, students are being relocated with embassy facilitation to safer places within Iran itself. Other feasible options are being examined. It's precisely the words of the embassy. Reacting to this, the Jammu and Kashmir Pradesh Congress Committee has asked the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to speed up the evacuation process. So requests are being made. India is now mulling over a mass evacuation effort for its citizens. A quick word from Ambassador Prabu on this. It's always the students and the citizens, innocent civilians, particularly of India, in the crossfire here. A quick word on the fate of these students, if you feel and believe that they are safe, and importantly, what's India's stance on this war, Ambassador?
Well, India has said that it doesn't want an escalation of the conflict. In fact, it has counseled both sides, Iran and Israel, to de-escalate and to come to an agreement. It wants dialogue, it wants diplomacy. But the problem is neither side is willing to listen to us. Now, you mentioned the students. Naturally, the students always get caught in this crossfire. And for that reason also, we are very keen that there should not be any widening of the conflict. Now, let me state that Iran also doesn't want a widening of the conflict. It doesn't want to pull in Trump. And that is why it has not, for instance, gone after shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, because that would trigger global economic shockwave and would draw Trump in. So at the moment, the situation is very fragile. Our students who are there in Iran are in a very delicate situation. India has to do everything to pull them out, and the government
And
of
so
India
we are,
efforts.
right.
But one doesn't know in which direction this conflict is going to go.
I really appreciate all of you for joining us as we are short on time. Itsai, thank you very much, Ambassador Prabu and Major Rajan, for joining us here tonight.